Ready? Earlier this month, we did a video on FOMO where I admitted that I struggle with FOMO. You, not so much, but definitely I do. And we challenged you to drop some comments below in that video about your strategies. And guess what? You delivered roughly 200 comments when all was said and done. And so what we've done, Julia here has gone through all of the comments and she's put them together conceptually so that we can provide some of those key strategies for you. So let's get into it.
Yeah, you guys provided so many ideas on combating FOMO. What a great response. I'm so glad that we could come together as a community, connect, and find solutions.
Yeah. All right, so what was the most common strategy or comment in that video?
The most common comment was simply to wait. Whether you wait for 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, we take that FOMO of, oh, I gotta have this right now, to after time you're like, well, do I really need that? So having that time gives you perspective on which sets you really truly want.
And so speaking of really truly wanting something, what was the comments about maybe putting priorities on sets or something along those lines?
Yeah, there were a lot of comments on how to limit yourself when you're purchasing Lego, and a lot of that came down to your priorities. So people prioritize different things. Some people prioritize a particular theme, or they prioritize whether it has a cool build. They might prioritize sets that they truly loved. One person said they prioritize sets that hits on multiple of their interests. Others prioritized a historical era. So obviously what you prioritize will be very personal to you, but if you do struggle with with FOMO for Lego, you may want to do that. Sit down and think about, okay, well, what do I want to prioritize in my Lego collection and the sets that I'm getting, and then really try to stick to that criteria.
So it sounds like part of this is placing limits on purchases or something along those lines to control FOMO, right?
Yeah. And the most common limit people suggested was really practical, just simply space. Now, most of us have a limit of space, how much space we have for our Lego.
Very true.
Just naturally built in. I mean, none of us have an infinite amount of space in our homes or wherever you collect your Lego. So that's pretty much a given to a certain extent. Some people have stricter limits than others. One commenter only had 900 square feet in his home and no garage or basement or anything. So he has to be really strict about what he allows into his collection. And we've experienced this in person as well. There was a woman in line with us one time at the Lego store who said she lived in a mobile home and her only space for Lego was this one table in her living room, and then she had a spare bedroom that she could put Lego in. And that was it. So she had to be really careful on what she bought. So space is super important. Even if you have more space though, you might want to put a limit on yourself and say, I'm only going to use this much space to store and display my Lego. And then guess what happens when it fills up? You either have to get rid of something if you want to buy something, or you don't buy the new thing.
Yeah.
So you really just force you to prioritize which sets you really want.
So I think one of the keys that we talked about in that video was Lego's marketing appeal. And, you know, they have gifts with purchase or double insiders points or things like that to get you to try to buy the sets as soon as possible. Because I think you mentioned earlier waiting. Waiting means you're probably less likely to actually buy the set. Lego, of course, has an interest in getting you to get that right away because it's a guaranteed purchase. What were the comments about that?
Yeah, people commented that just being aware of the factors that contribute to FOMO can help them shift their focus. If you're not even realizing what's happening and you're just buying into all this hype without thinking about it, then you're much more likely to go out and buy the set. If you're like, okay, I see what's going on here. Like I see what marketing ploy is being played on me. You can kind of control that a little bit better and be like, okay, I get what they're trying to do, and I'm not going to fall into that trap. So just being aware of it can help. Also, some people suggested shifting how they buy and use Lego. Instead of going after sets, they now work on building their own stuff. They're taking apart sets and rebuilding them, like the original plan for Lego. They're making mocks. One person said they even, if there's a set they like, they try to make a mock version of it out of their own collection. So they're not going out and buying the new set, but they can still enjoy that concept, which is a really cool idea.
Yeah, and something we've done on this channel is identify like one of those gifts with purchase that we built without instructions, just from the images that were released before it came out. And it was a really cool project to do with Autumn, our youngest daughter. So that was really nice. So if someone is struggling with FOMO, what could they do to combat it?
Okay, so there were a lot of comments on this. Some of them are a little bit, they're true, but not necessarily real helpful, but I'm still going to give them to you.
Okay.
First of all, you can recognize that you want a set, but it's not practical to get it right now, and then move on.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't
sense.
obsess.
Yeah.
Manage yourself. Use willpower to stop yourself from buying more than you should. Restrict buying now. So,
Yeah.
you know, kind of straightforward, but if you're really struggling, it might not be super helpful.
Didn't one person comment that they actually like to watch Lego videos, even like Lego haul videos, to combat FOMO? Because it's like, I want these sets, but I see other people getting them, and I'm okay with that, because then maybe I don't really feel the need to go out and get them because I can see other people having them.
Yeah, I mean, there's different perspectives on how to view these videos on YouTube or wherever. Some people say, you know, avoid social media, avoid ads, avoid influencer channels, avoid LAN channels, and all these things. And that might be helpful for you. But then other people do use the opposite of that. You know, they watch review videos to decide, do I really want this set? Or they'll watch builds because they know, you know, it's not really practical, or it's not really a set I'm going to get, but I can still watch the build and enjoy that process even without buying it.
Yeah. So there's always a risk when you read through YouTube any comments really, but YouTube comments as well. Like, people will put quirky things, they'll put funny things in, people might be sarcastic, or they might just not try to be helpful. Were there any really interesting or quirky perspectives that you saw in the comments?
Oh, it did have someone refer to their addiction to plastic crack.
Okay. That's one way of putting it.
One commenter said he doesn't struggle with FOMO, but he does struggle with regretting not buying a set later.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you came through as a Lego community and encouraged him that, you know what, this is supposed to be a fun hobby. So if you are having fun with it, great. But if you're finding yourself being distressed by it, it might be time to take a step back and gain some perspective, so that you can enjoy it as a hobby.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's a really good piece of advice, because, you know, we can look at sets that retire and wish, oh, you know, that'd be great if I'd had that. But in reality, I don't think the quality of life that we live, certainly here in middle class, developed world, is really going to go down all that much by not having a Lego set, or even a handful of Lego sets. Because I think about all the ones I missed out on as a kid, and I really don't regret a lot of not buying those then, and I don't think that would add to my quality of life now. So, yeah, well, good job on putting together all those comments. I know it was a lot to read and a lot to sift through. It took a lot of time to put those together into a coherent strategy or set of strategies for people out there. Hey, if you've got additional strategies, put them in the comment section down below, and appreciate your time. Always remember to keep
building together.